Today we're gonna make some homemade meatballs. The great thing about these meatballs is that they go really far. You can make a ton of them all at once, and then you can freeze them and use them later. So you get all the convenience of pre-made meatballs without all the work each and every time. Let's get started. Alright, now to make these homemade meatballs, first thing we're going to need above all else is some hamburger. You can do combinations of meat if you want to do multiple batches of this. If you're making a bunch at once, just increase the amount that you need for each thing. But because we're making this for multiple recipes right now, we're just going to show you what you need for one. So 1 pound of hamburger. Then you also are going to need some parsley, some black pepper, some salt, some breadcrumbs. I'm using Italian today, but you can use whatever you have. Panko, regular breadcrumbs, any of those things. If you want to make it keto, you can actually do it with pork panko. It works just as well, albeit a little bit less absorbent. And you're also going to need some Parmesan cheese, Parmesan and or Romano. If you do straight Romano, that's going to be probably a little bit better, but because I have this blend here, this is what I like to use, and you can also just use regular Parmesan by itself. Then you're also going to need 2 eggs, okay? And then you're going to need some garlic cloves. I'm going to do roughly just a small handful. Looks like I have about 8 of them here. You don't necessarily have to do that much. You could do as little as 2, but I like lots of garlic, so I'm doing plenty. We're going to mix all this stuff together, and then we are going to start forming them and getting them ready to cook in the oven. All right, so let's get started. We're going to start by putting in our 1 pound of ground beef. Then to that, we're going to add our 2 eggs. Then we're going to add our Parmesan, which we want about 40 grams or half a cup. Then we're going to add 3/4 of a cup or 84 grams of panko breadcrumbs. Then we're going to add 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. And then we're going to add half a teaspoon of black pepper. Then 3 tablespoons of chopped parsley. You can use fresh if you like. I'm using dry because it works just as well. Plus, when it cooks in, it's not going to make much difference. And finally, we're going to crush our garlic cloves and add those in as well. Since we're making quadruple the recipe because we're going to be freezing a bunch of these, I'm just going to go ahead and add all those, but I'll just speed it up so you'll see the process. And now that everything's added, we'll put on some gloves and we mix. All right, now that all the meatball mixture is put together, and remember this right here is 4 times the recipe, but now that it's all mixed together, we're going to get this thing on the scale, and we're going to start doing these as 1 ounce size meatballs. We want to try to have them all uniform, so we're going to start forming those up, and we'll speed up the process so you can see what happens here. All right, now all of the meat has been turned into meatballs. We have 99 meatballs out of that 4 pounds of meat plus all the things. That's 4 times the recipe. So we're gonna go ahead and get those in the oven, 350 degrees for about 30 minutes. We'll rotate halfway through. Hi, Future Guy here. One thing I forgot to mention that will really help when it comes to getting these things cooked is make sure that you put a wire rack on top of a baking sheet. That way the meatballs will be lifted up from the baking sheet, and that way they'll cook evenly and you don't have to worry about them being super greasy. All the excess grease will drain down below the wire racks. Let's get back to the video. All right, now those meatballs are completely done, beautiful, fresh out of the oven, still sizzling. And now that those are complete, we'll go ahead and we'll give one a try, and then we will freeze the rest for a later meal. Now the taste test.
It's hot. Very good. Full of flavor. A little tiny bit of a crisp on the outside. Soft on the inside. But very well seasoned.
All right, now for me to try one. Take a look at that. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. You know, I've made these several times now. This is the first time I've done it all beef. But they turned out fantastic. Definitely make these. And do what I did. If you want to have a bunch of easy meatballs, make up a huge batch of them all at once. Then you can freeze most of them. And then future meals, you already have pre-made meatballs ready to go. All you gotta do is warm them up a little bit. Thanks for watching. Please leave a like if you liked this video, subscribe to the channel and share with your friends, and stay tuned for more recipes that, while not necessarily authentic, are always delicious. And of course these are falling over. See if we can keep those balanced, maybe. And we're gonna get all this stuff mixed together. The meatballs will be lifted up from the cookie sheet